Hello, Chem 1 Honor students. This is just a quick video to let you know my understanding of the fourth marking period grading policy. I'm also supposed to tell you about attendance and my office hours. So let's start with attendance first, because I think you can tell by the memes that I'm not thrilled with the grading policy thing. All right, attendance, you don't have to email me anymore to let me know that you're in attendance. If you're sick and going to be quote unquote absent from school, whatever that means, your parents are supposed to call the school and report it. But I don't know why you would, but that's how it's supposed to be approached. As far as my office hours, accessible to you to email, if you email a question before 2 p.m. of that day, I'll respond that afternoon. I'm going to check my email at 2. And if you respond after 2 p.m. on that day, it will not be answered until the following afternoon. Just so you know. All right, so now the grading policy, here's my understanding of it. When this was being formulated, it was my understanding that they were going to make 93% the bottom grade that you could get for the marking period, as long as you pass the class. So if you got a 65, it became a 93 for the fourth marking period. If you had a 70, it became a 93. If you had a 92, it became a 93. And the rationale behind that was about equity, about people having access to education. The state constitution says that all students will have equal access to education. And in a system where you're relying on online support and materials, that's not possible. So what they wanted to do in these extraordinary circumstances is to make sure that they're not hurting students that can't access things. They wanted to make sure that they're not hurting students and families who have contracted the virus, or whose families work in the medical profession, or as police officers or first responders, or you're working at a grocery store, because those are being kept open because they have to, and you're exposing yourself to the virus, people getting sick. These things are more important than grades, and I totally agree with that. But originally I thought that the policy was going to be that you could override that and give the student a higher grade if they earned it. And so the video I made yesterday, was actually lucky that I didn't have the mic on, as frustrated as I got because I made 3 videos like that and had to scrap them all. I had the policy wrong. Apparently 93 is the lowest, but it's also the highest that you can get for the fourth marking period, provided that you pass. And the rationale on that was that we're not doing 100% of the work in the fourth marking period, therefore nobody gets 100% credit. I have to believe that it's really about complaints, that some people are going to be allowed to score above 93 and some aren't, and they again, it's an equal access of education type of thing. So a question was raised in a meeting that I had today by another teacher about criteria for passing and failing, and there is none. They want to allow teachers flexibility, and they want them to assess their learning, but that these assessments can't be used in determining their grades. So the question really wasn't answered. In order to pass, do you have to complete 65% of the problems or homework assignments, or do you have to average a 65% or better on everything, including online testing, in order to get a passing grade? And that really wasn't answered, but from what I'm hearing is that it was going to be very difficult to not pass. One of the phrases I heard somebody say was that the teacher would have to prove that the student failed. Okay, I'm really not into proving that students fail. I only keep score because they asked me to keep score. And the truth of the matter is I care more about process and the journey of learning than I do about the numerical grades. Here's what bothered me about this process, though, and I wrote it down in green. I used this same notability slide to do this for AP a few minutes ago. Because 93 is the highest grade, a student with a 92 average after the third marking period cannot get an A. But a student with a 67 average, when you add in the 93, would jump to a 73. And that is what it is. And I can't go against the policy. At first, I thought about just going against the policy and telling you, look, I'm going to override the grade. If you get higher than a 93, I'll put in higher than 93. And yesterday I worked out all the different algebraic possibilities on the grades that you have versus what you could get. But two issues with that. One, I don't know what type of message that sends you about being dishonest. I was told the policy, I was told to follow the policy, and I obviously understood the policy. And to say to you that I'm not going to follow it and I'm just going to do what I want really sends a poor message about integrity. Second, the argument was about inflated grades, but they have a big problem with the online cheating. And I couldn't really argue that because I wrote there on the right hand side, on the most recent AP test I gave online, only 60% of the students had completed the online assignment, the online problems. And only 62% of the students had actually seen the videos I had going over Chapter 17. And yet, 90% of the students got an A or an A minus. And the average amount of time taken on the test, since the website that I have for that showed the time, is only 48 minutes, but it took me 53 minutes to take the test. So is there cheating? Well, yeah, there's some cheating there. And I'm not so cynical, though, to think that everybody cheats. I know there are students who are doing it honestly, but I think this issue of cheating and fairness came into play, and that's why they decided that 93 was going to be the grade, but I can't speak for them. All right, so what they said was every Friday is going to be a fun Friday, and that we can only give an hour of work and no homework. And so how am I going to construct your grade? I have no idea. I have no idea. And grading for me is always about motivation, that you pay the students for their effort with the grades. And now I don't have the grades, so I have no way of motivating you. Only to say that if you're taking AP Chem or AP Bio next year, and at least 30 of you are that I have right now, look, we're going to pick up normally. And they said, well, we're going to have to build in some skills days in September. I was like, there's no skills days in AP Chem. I'll review where I can, but I won't be able to review much because of the time constraints. And a lot of you are taking multiple AP classes next year, so that problem is going to be exacerbated. It is in your best interest, if you are taking AP Chem and AP Bio, to complete the regular Honors Chem, Honors Bio curriculum so that you know what's going on when you move into the AP class. If you're not taking AP Sciences, which is fine, but you plan on majoring in a career in science at college, then you got to understand that they assume you've completed a high school class. In other words, undergraduate courses are rated as level 100, 200, 300, 400, depending upon how much prior experience they expect you to have. If you were to take Psych 101, for instance, that's a level 100 class, requires no previous knowledge of psychology. But with science majors, your general science classes start at level 200. They assume that you've had a year of high school chemistry, a year of high school biology, in which case we've only completed 60 to 67% of that before we went to the online learning, 75% if you were being honest about it. All right, so what motivates you to move forward then and try to complete the curriculum and try to do the best you can? Well, again, you're doing it for success later on, but I can no longer reward you with the points. Okay, so what am I going to post then? Look, I got to be honest. I am salty when I take all this time to make a video and only 60% of my AP kids bother watching it. Now, with you guys, I noticed that you don't watch them until the night before the test, but at least you watch them. But I'm not going to make online content and then have somebody argue that I'm trying to push you to doing more work than that hour a day plus the, leaving open Friday for fun Fridays. So what am I going to give you? I'm going to give you the normal materials for each chapter. I'm going to recommend that you view some comm videos. I may ask you for the notes on one or two of them, but not all of them. And then I'm going to ask you to submit a practice test. there's no sense in me spending 3 hours to write a test if a lot of students are going to cheat on the test and the grade doesn't count anyway. So, how much do you need to pass for the fourth marking period? And my answer is, who knows? I don't know. I really don't know. But in order to do well at the next level, really need to complete chapter 15, which is kinetic theory. We do chapter 18 and 19, which is gas laws. And chapter 22, which is kinetics. And then chapter 23 and 24, which is acid-base equilibria. I want you to know that this decision about the grading wasn't mine. I'm going to cooperate because I have to cooperate, and I'm admitting that I'm not the principal of the school and I'm not the superintendent, so therefore I don't know all of the ramifications that are involved. I know that they met for quite a long time with vice principals and the department supervisors and chair people, and it took a long time to come to this decision, and that they're making the decision in the best interest of everybody considering these really trying circumstances. So my advice is going to be, I will give you materials to help you be successful in these chapters, and you will do the best you can, and do not let it stress you out. And if you have questions, you can always email me, and hopefully we get back to school maybe in June. I have no idea. But again, email me if you have any questions about this. Thanks.